So, can anyone say amateur? Amateur, that's the word of the day. What is that with this lazy eye? I don't know how to make it not look like a lazy eye. If y'all only knew how many times this camera has fell while I'm trying to talk to it. You gotta laugh at yourself. If you don't, everybody else will. Okay, let's try this for real. Hey y'all, my name is Kelly. This is Kel's house. Technically, this is my daughter's bedroom because lighting. I'm still working out some details with that. And amateur is the word of the day, so please keep that in mind whenever you continue to lose eye contact with me, because I cannot remember to keep looking at the thing over here on the camera, because I want to look at myself, and of course when I look at myself that makes my eyes go that way. So anyway, here I am in all my glory. It is Friday, January the 3rd. It is 10:32 p.m. and I thought I would just hop on for a second and introduce myself before I lose my nerve yet again. Anybody that's seen anything of mine already, you see that I've posted a couple videos since August of 2019 because I love to decorate. So that is my main platform. I don't know if that's the word I'm looking for, but you know what I'm saying. But there'll be a couple of other things. I've got something really exciting that I think I'm going to try for this year. So obviously, I am not a selfie girl. I don't have any social media because I just don't need it. No offense, but I don't care what you ate for supper last night, and you really don't need to know what I had for supper last night. So I'm just good with old-fashioned phone calls and text messages. And email. I do have email. Anyway, so I am, just to give you a little bit of background on me, I am 41 years old. I am married. My husband and I are getting ready to celebrate our 16th wedding anniversary in March of this year, 2020. We have 2 kids. They are 19. They are each from a previous marriage. I have a daughter from my previous marriage. My husband has a son from his previous marriage. We don't say step. We don't say anything like that. We're just family. So if you ever hear me talk about my kids, that's what I mean, my kids. We got married when they were 3 and 4, so we don't even, as far as they're concerned, we are just family. We live in Georgia. Go Dogs. As you can see, if you check that previous video out, I have a Go Dogs tree. It's actually still decorated. We moved it from the room that it was in into the study back before Christmas, and we added a couple of our Christmas ornaments and things like that instead of just the fall stuff. Well, I took the fall stuff off, you know what I'm saying. We're looking forward to a better year next year, but we still love our dogs regardless. What else can I tell you? Well, that's basically a lot of, I like to laugh. You will see me laugh at myself. I will laugh at myself before anybody else gets a chance to, just because might as well, why not? My daddy used to say, you gotta laugh to keep from crying. So sometimes that's what I do. So I'm doing a lot of ums and it's getting kind of embarrassing. So let me just tell you what I was here for. I wanted to just kind of make an introduction video, but also give you a little something interesting. So I have a little bit of an Ulta haul. And I was going to do a makeup video, just kind of like a get ready with me to stay home on a Friday night. But I filmed it. I did my entire face. I laughed. You would have loved some of that. But whenever I played it back and started to edit, I realized I had my volume off the whole time. So it was all in silent. So there was no point in showing you anything where I'm not even talking. But I will show you. I had ordered some stuff from Ulta because I was out of a good bit of stuff and I need to try some different things because I'm having some skin issues. We'll get into that in just a moment. So the first thing that I'm going to do is just start off with my little bit of a haul and just to kind of show you what I got and kind of tell you why I need it. So the first thing, and this is in no particular order. This is not my favorite to whatever. This is just, I'm picking it up as it's coming out of the box, honestly, just where it's located. The first thing that I got was this Makeup Forever Conceal and Hydrate Foundation. I and I do have a light ring behind the camera, so if it's glared, I apologize. But it's the Makeup Revolution Conceal and Hydrate Radiance Foundation with Hyaluronic Acid. That's my jam right now. This is technically the first time that I've worn it, but I can already tell you this is going to be one of my favorites that I've ever put on because, number one, it's not heavy. It is not thick. It only took a light layer, and it is, I've had it on for a little, probably a couple of hours now, and nothing, it's not breaking down, it's not oxidizing, it's just staying right where I put it, and it is really, really just feels light on my face. I got it in the color F6 because I'm not really completely pale, but I don't have any kind of a tan either, so this is a good, you know, in-between foundation. I also got this Wet n Wild Photo Focus pressed powder because I've heard nothing but good things. You can't find any bad reviews, or I've not found any bad reviews on this at all. This is in the shade Warm Light because I was afraid if the foundation was just a little bit too pale, then I could warm it up with this. But so far everything seems to be matching just fine. The next thing that I got is this Voluminous Lash Paradise. Everybody, sorry about the glare again. This needs no explanation whatsoever. If you've used it, you know Lash Paradise, just because it is Lash Paradise. I absolutely love it. Voluminous has been one of my go-to mascaras since I was a teenager. I would try different stuff along the way, but I would always come back to the Voluminous and the Carbon Black. Y'all know Carbon Black, that is everything. But about 2 years ago, I guess, I guess it was about 2 years ago, I tried this and just fell absolutely in love. I still love my Carbon Black, don't get me wrong, but this just works for me. I really enjoy this mascara. So this is the one thing that I have right now that I am totally, completely loyal to and have no desire to change at all. So if you don't have this or if you've never used this, go get some. It's amazing. And I got it in the color Blackest Black, and I'm actually wearing it now. I don't know if you can see or tell, but it is, I don't wear false lashes. I might try to learn. It's 2020, why not? But right now, these are just my lashes, and you can see they are pretty thick, voluminous even. The next thing that I got is this, it's just a kit, a makeup kit from Ulta. It's just the Ulta brand. But I love it. I had actually gotten one of these for my daughter a couple of Christmases ago. And as you can see up here, it's got like 7 blushes, 1, 2, 3, 4 highlighters, 4 bronzers, contour. I mean, you name it, it's got it. There's 40 eyeshadows here. And then down in the bottom, sorry, I'm sitting on the floor because the lighting is, I'm still working out the details with my lighting, but I needed a solid background, so I'm just in my daughter's room hanging out. She's not here, by the way. I'm not weird. So this is the bottom of the kit, and it has, oh, and I'm also wearing this, the Poreless Face Primer. This is the Ulta brand, Ulta Beauty. I'm pretty impressed so far. I put this on. I love NYX. For a long time now, I've been a NYX Smashbox, any of those, the poreless or the pore refining. Again, I'm 41. So yeah, there's some pores. Girls, let me just say this. If there's any young girls watching, please take Kel's advice and take care of your skin. I don't care how late you come home on a Friday night, or how early you have to get up the next morning, wash that makeup off before you go to sleep. If you don't do anything else for yourself, wash your makeup off before you go to sleep and find you a good moisturizer now. If you're 12, if you're 18, if you're 26, if you're 66, it doesn't matter. Get a good moisturizer. You will thank me later. Speaking of, the next thing that I got is The Ordinary. I don't know if you can, how well you can see that. Again, amateurs, the word of the day, don't forget, amateur. This is The Ordinary Hydrators and Oils, and this is natural moisturization factors plus hyaluronic acid. That's going to be the second word of the day, hyaluronic acid. So this is, it's got amino acids, dermal lipids, and hyaluronic acid. It says apply after serums is needed for effective surface hydration. And of course, patch test prior to use. I will be doing that because I'm somewhat sensitive these days, and we'll get into that in just a moment. Here it is. Sorry, I'm digging around. The next thing is also from The Ordinary, and this is AHA 30%, BHA 2% peeling solution. This is a 10-minute exfoliating facial. You can see, I don't know if that helps to focus. I see people do this, so I guess this helps. We'll see. But this is actually a 10-minute exfoliating facial. So basically what this is, I always, for as long as I can remember, I've been trying for a long time to get my skin where it needs to be. I have a facial brush. I have the Clarisonic Mia. I use every day. And then I have a couple different exfoliating masks and whatnot. Those are called physical exfoliants. That's where the little bit of texture that's in the cleanser or whatever, and you kind of scrub it around on your face. This actually is what is considered a chemical exfoliant. Now, let me tell you, both are extremely important. I've never tried this part before, so we're going to see. I'll let y'all kind of take this journey with me and see how it turns out. But I've never tried the chemical exfoliation, and it may not work for me because, again, my skin is pretty sensitive these days. I've got a couple more things to show you, and then I'm going to start explaining some of this, what I keep saying I'll tell you in a minute. It's good. Hang around. I promise. You'll want to know this. The next two things, the last two things that I have, again, this was not a big haul. It was just some stuff that I needed. And, you know, kind of had that after Christmas, like I've been shopping for 2 months and I'm still in the shopping mood. So I got online and I found some stuff that, you know, hey, it's on sale. Everything's buy one, get one half off, or, you know, buy two, get one free. So why not? Anyway, this is by e.l.f., one of my absolute favorite brands. I've not yet found anything by e.l.f. that I didn't like. So let me just throw that out there. It's very affordable, and there's so many products that everything is interchangeable. So if you need, you know, if you're dry skin today but oily skin tomorrow, I mean, everything works together, so you can just mix and match and combine all the different products that e.l.f. offers. Which is, I've got two more here that I'm going to try. This is the Cooling Under Eye Refresh. It's a roller ball. And if you've never had one of these, and it doesn't matter if it's e.l.f., whatever brand you find first, go get it. Put it in your refrigerator, and when you wake up tomorrow morning, after you wash that makeup off before you go to sleep tonight, wake up in the morning and use this roller ball. That you will thank me. You'll probably thank me for that before you'll thank me for the washing your makeup off and the moisturizer, because you'll see the results of this immediately. And the last thing is this e.l.f. facial oil. Nourishing facial oil. Again, Georgia, so yes, we say oil. Some people say oil, but I just grew up on the other side of the road and we say oil. So this basically is just for extra hydration. That's the third word of the day. As you can see, I've got all these things going here. Hydration, hydration, moisturizing, hydration. Okay. That leads me into my next thing that we need to talk about. Just to kind of let you know a little bit about me and where I've been and where I plan to go in the next couple of months or the next year. Again, hydration, just a moment. Okay. So, like I said, today is January 2020. Let me back up about a year, or actually a couple of years. It's hard to talk about stuff like this without going into too much detail, because you don't know what people do want to hear and what people don't want to hear, and what's too much and what's not enough. So I'm going to try to summarize it the best that I can. And if you find anything that I say offensive or, you know, TMI, then feel free to stop watching. But I was diagnosed. Okay, let me back up. I started my period when I was 11 years old, and I struggled off and on growing up. After I started my period, migraines, stomach ulcers. I had bouts of severe depression and anxiety, things that, to the point of actually even a suicide attempt when I was a teenager. And, nobody ever knew what was wrong. And, I had a good life, and, I had a family that loved me, and good, awesome friends, the best friends on earth even. And y'all know who you are. I love y'all. But we never could figure out, like, it just didn't make sense. There were some things that, from my past or from growing up or whatnot that kind of hung around and did kind of cause me some difficulties, but nothing to the extent that, things were starting to happen. So I guess I was probably in my mid-20s when my husband and I got married, and I started really struggling bad with anxiety. So my primary care physician put me on some medicine, and it helped, but it also caused a great deal of weight gain. I'm talking over 100 pounds in less than a year. And so, of course, I stopped. I was like, because the doctor, every time you go every couple of months to check out, to see how you're doing. And he would say, well, how do you feel? And I'm like, well, I feel better, but I'm gaining weight. And he's like, well, we'll worry about the weight later. I just want to get you feeling okay. A couple months later, go back. How are you feeling? I'm feeling good, but I've gained more weight. We'll worry about that later. Just don't worry about the weight right now. Well, it finally came down to after I'd been on this medicine for a year, and I went to his office and I saw that I had gained 112 pounds. And he said, well, how are you feeling? And I said, well, at this point, I'm depressed because I'm fat. So I got to stop the medicine. Can't take it anymore. So we stopped, and it was just the next couple years was, I'd take some medicine for a while and then I would stop. And it was kind of like a cycle. Like I would go along for a while and I would feel great. Like I didn't need anything. And then all of a sudden I would just bottom out again and just feel horrible. And, there were days just couldn't get out of the bed for days at a time, and, horrible, digestive issues, migraine headaches, stomach ulcers. Just all sorts of things. And finally, I started doing a little bit of research. My family calls me Dr. Google, by the way. I will find out what's wrong with you. Just tell me what your symptoms are and I'll let you know. But I started doing some research, and I started finding some things on PMDD, which is premenstrual dysphoric disorder. And I never had heard of it. And honestly, I've not met anybody around me that knows what it is. I've even been to gynecologists who are not as familiar with it as they should be in 2020. But I started at that point, I started paying attention to my symptoms, and it finally started to register with me that all these symptoms were coming along with my period. The week of my period, I'm tired and grumpy, and, I feel horrible, and, just real heavy flow, and just, nightmarish conditions. But I would feel mentally I was okay. The next week I'm good. The next week starts off good. I start getting a little more tired, start getting a little bit cranky, get to where I just can't get enough to eat. And then there's Hell Week. And when Hell Week starts, again, you figure I'm coming into this week with, I couldn't get enough to eat. I'm craving chocolate and something salty, and just chocolate is like my everything, by the way. And so anyway, this next week would come along, and I had no appetite at all, no motivation, no energy. Literally could not get myself out of the bed. And when I did get out of the bed, I was literally just in the bathroom. I was either throwing up or, other things. So when all this, I was just starting to journal. I was starting to just keep a calendar of my symptoms. And I went to the doctor after about 3 months. I'd kept this journal, and I said, look, this is what's going on. I know this has got to be what's wrong with me. How can we fix it? So they said, well, let's try some birth control. Now, I've been on birth control over the years, a couple times here and there, and it just was never my friend. Um, Obviously, premenstrual dysphoric disorder is not necessarily a hormonal imbalance in your body. That's where people get a little bit confused. Basically, it's how your body reacts to the hormonal fluctuations around that time of the month. So when your estrogen level spikes or your progesterone level decreases or whatever goes on during that time of the month, your body sort of almost has like an allergic reaction. And the allergic reaction, instead of, your face swelling and your throat closing up and you getting hives or whatever, instead you've got, extreme anxiety, stomach issues, headaches, major fatigue, to the point my thoughts, and if some of my friends were here to explain it to you, I mean, it was obvious. It was mind altering. I mean, there were times that I just had myself convinced that the absolute worst things possible were happening around me. And none of it was true, but in my mind it was true. So anyway, tried the birth control. I said, nope, it's making me sick. It's making me even crazier than I was before. I don't want this. So went back to the doctor and they decided, okay, well, let's do an endometrial ablation because that will help to at least, and the endometrial ablation, the procedure that I had is actually called Novasure, and it's where they go in and zap the lining of your uterus so that you don't have periods, and it at least alleviates the physical symptoms that come along with that menstrual cycle. So, and for me, it did. I mean, it cured it almost. I mean, as soon as I had the procedure, I never saw another period after that for almost 2 years. And it also helped with a lot of my other symptoms. The doctor still will tell you that it has absolutely nothing to do with your hormone levels or your hormonal fluctuations or your mood or your mentality or whatever, but I'm here to tell you that it absolutely does, because and anybody that knows me, that knew me before and knows me now, could tell you that, most definitely it made a huge difference for me. I'm obviously a woman, so I'm still quite moody. Work, I get stressed out at work. I get stressed out at home. So my moods do still fluctuate, but nothing like before. So anyway, in August of 2016, I had the ablation and I felt wonderful. I started finally being able to lose some of the weight that I had put on years prior. My energy levels started to increase. Just everything felt better. And then May of 2018, I had another period. Nothing like it had been. It was not nearly as severe or horrific as it had been before, but nonetheless, it was back. And I noticed some of my symptoms starting to return, not to the magnitude that they were before the ablation, but they were coming back. So I went back to my doctor and, we talked a couple times, and she gave me, I think it was in August of 2018, she gave me a shot of Lupron, which is, it actually, what's the word I'm trying to think of? It suppresses your ovarian function. So it basically tells your body, it stops the signals from your brain from telling your ovaries to ovulate. So it basically, your body thinks you're in menopause. And oh my goodness, I felt absolutely wonderful. My energy was through the roof. My mood was beyond happy. I can't even explain it. And the shots come every 3 months. So I got the first one in August. In November, I got another shot. And then I was due again in February. Well, my insurance wouldn't cover it. And we tried everything. My doctor did a peer-to-peer. We wrote letters. We sent appeals. We, submitted articles. Because my insurance said that it's still investigational, that nothing has actually been proven that it is a cure or a treatment for that particular diagnosis. So at that point, I decided with my husband that I was cool with just hysterectomy, because my doctor had, mentioned that as an option. Yeah, I'm still fairly young, but when you weigh the odds, some things are way more, I knew I wasn't having any more kids. Like I said, our kids are 19 years old. So I knew that was, no longer an issue. But, there's lots of things that come with the hysterectomy that your body at a certain age is not quite ready for. But we chose to go ahead with it. So March 29th of 2019, I had a total hysterectomy, which means they removed my uterus, cervix, ovaries, and fallopian tubes. So I literally have no female organs left. And as far as my PMDD, I feel wonderful. That's no longer existent. Now, since that time, it's been almost a year. It's been, 10 months now, almost. Since that time, I have noticed my body seems to still sort of go through the cycles. I kind of have my up and down times. It seems to be getting less and less, but there for a while, it was still coming around, every 4 weeks. Sorry, my sock is twisted. Every couple of weeks, I would notice that, I'm extremely fatigued and, sick on my stomach and all those things. But every the further that the time goes on, I'm noticing that is less and less. So that brings me to the next thing, the hysterectomy itself. So we did the procedure laparoscopically, and that was on March 29th. So I came home the next day on March 30th and started healing. And I was, I wasn't bouncing back quite as quick as some of my friends who've had the procedure, but, everybody's different, so I didn't think much about it. I did have a great deal of back pain, and some soreness and some fatigue and stuff. Obviously everybody's different. So I didn't think much about that. So May 4th, I woke up, that's a Saturday. I woke up that morning, I felt pretty good. My appointment was to follow up with my doctor was that Monday, the 6th. So I was, really trying to get up and go and do more things and be more active, because I figured she was going to let me go back to work that week. So that morning, I was kind of piddling around in the house, just doing, this and that, doing some laundry. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I just started getting this horrible back pain. And I have actually had kidney stones in the past, so I felt like that's what it probably was. But being 5 weeks post-op, and obviously I've never had a hysterectomy before, I didn't really know for sure if that pain was coming, if it might have something to do with the surgery. So anyway, long story short, I called the hospital. They told me I needed to come in. I tried to avoid it because I work in a hospital, and I just generally know that it's not a good idea usually to show up at the emergency room on a Saturday asking for pain medicine. Just saying. But not saying that you shouldn't go to the emergency room if you're in pain on a Saturday. I'm just saying there are certain stigma that kind of follow that. And, I just felt like if I could ride it out and, wait for it to pass, then that's what I was going to do. Well, my temperature was over 103 at one point during the day, so I finally asked my husband to please just, let's go. So they drove me to the hospital, my husband and daughter, and when we got there, I went to the registration desk and told the girl some of my symptoms, and they immediately, got me to triage, and when they did, my vitals were just all over the place. My heart rate was like in the 160s or something. I'm not sure what the exact number was. Again, blood pressure was crazy. I don't remember what the top number was, but the bottom number was in the 40s. So it was pretty low. And my temperature was over 104. So they sent me to the cardiac unit immediately when I checked in. And so they started running tests, and come to find out I had a 5mm kidney stone. So they sent me for surgery that night. So this is surgery number 2, March 29th. General anesthesia, and then May 4th, general anesthesia. So they sent put me in, did the surgery. And I remember going into the OR, and I'd already had like tons of pain medicine in the ER, because it just, nothing would touch it. I mean, this is worse. I don't know if you've ever had a kidney stone, but I wouldn't pray it. I wouldn't ask for it for the worst person in the world, because it is god-awful agony. I would rather deliver 10 more babies every day of my life than to ever have another kidney stone. It is horrific. It is, I don't think there's even a word that describes that pain. So they were giving me all sorts of pain meds, and nothing was helping. So I got back to the OR, or they were taking me to the OR, and the doctor who was coming in to do the surgery, he came and met me in the hall. I was on the stretcher, kind of in and out of it. And he was like, Miss Ushery, I just wanted to let you know that you are a very, very sick lady, and you're gonna, you're probably not going home tonight. And I was like, okay. By this time it's already like midnight. And so anyway, they do the surgery, they put a stent in, and they didn't get the kidney stone at that time because the infection, my kidney was actually infected and extremely swollen. That's where a lot of the pain was coming from. It's called hydronephrosis. Is that right? Hydronephrosis. Yes. So they kept me overnight, and the next morning when I woke up, the same doctor came back in, and they had run some cultures the night before from my blood, and come to find out I was septic. So then I was in the hospital for 7 days, and just rounds and rounds of antibiotics, just trying this and that, and come to find out I had a bacteria called Klebsiella pneumoniae. I think that's the right pronunciation. If it's not, forgive me. Again, what's the word of the day? Amateur. So, like I said, they kept me for 7 days, and it took probably the first 5 days of trying different antibiotics to see what would actually get rid of this infection. And so they released me on the 12th and told me that I needed to come back on the 20th for another procedure to have the stent removed. So they sent me home with what they call the curly Q stent, I think, or something like that. It's not pleasant at all. It literally feels like you are sitting on plastic, because you basically are. It is just not comfortable. I was in a great deal of pain, and still just so extremely fatigued, and just not feeling myself. Those antibiotics wiped me out. That infection wiped me out. I had 104 temperature for 6 days. I don't know. I'd have to pull my chart back and look at, I got discs from the hospital with my records, because there were I just wanted my medical records. So I go back on the 20th of May for my 3rd round of anesthesia, and they put me in, do the procedure. I wake up to find out I had another stent. So this whole time I'm still not working. I'm still at home trying to recuperate, but there never was any kind of actual rest, because I was either in pain or I was just in misery. Those stents, I tell you, that's right up there close to the kidney stone and childbirth. It is not fun. So anyway, I went back to work on June the 1st, and I have slowly started to get back to myself, start to feel a little bit better. But it has been a long road. So that's where I'm coming back around to why I bought all these different things, and why I've been trying so many different skincare and different products. Well, first, let's just mention this hair. You see the roots. I'm having to be very, very careful right now. For a long time, I've kept my hair highlighted. But because of all the anesthesia and the menopause. Okay, well, let's talk about that menopause for a second, and then I'll come back to the anesthesia. Just remember, menopause is it's absolutely a natural part of life. Every woman is going to go through it at some point. But with it being the natural part of life, it comes over a span, over a certain, probably 5 to 10 years in some cases. I went through it in 4 hours. So my body was pretty much in shock between going straight into menopause, having 3 rounds of general anesthesia, multiple, I don't even know how many antibiotics from May through September of 2019. It has just wreaked havoc on my body. So that brings me around to my next, I'm finishing up, I promise. I know I'm getting long-winded. So now that I'm finally starting to feel better, I mean, I've struggled with fatigue. Severe fatigue. The whole sepsis thing, because come to find out, I actually had a simple UTI at the time of my hysterectomy that never got treated. So that's why I became septic 5 weeks later. And that really scared me because I have a history of UTIs. I've always had some kidney issues since I was a little child, but I never saw this. I never recognized any symptoms or had any clue because I was healing from a hysterectomy. So I was, contributing just about everything that happened to the hysterectomy. Any kind of symptoms that I was having, any kind of urgency or burning or, blood tinge or anything like that. I just thought, well, I just had the surgery, And that really scared me because I didn't see an infection coming, and I definitely did not see the severity and just to put it bluntly, being faced with my own mortality. Because when a doctor literally stands in your face and tells you they're doing everything that they can do, that is eye-opening. That's scary. So I dealt with a lot of emotional stuff after this infection and everything, but I'm finally starting to feel more like myself. And so I'm ready to get back to myself. As I mentioned before, I had started losing weight. I was able to, actually in 2018, the year that I turned 40, I lost about 70 pounds. And I did it all by myself. I had encouragement from others, but as far as I didn't have any procedures or any kind of, I just ate low carb, tried to eat as healthy as possible, and I exercised literally my butt off. And felt really good about myself. Well, then since the surgery and then the sickness and the fatigue and everything that's come along with it and not being able to get up and go and feel like myself again, I've put on a great deal of that weight back. So now it's time to get rid of it. So, that's where we are now. So number 1, I am trying to get my skin and hair back in order from the sickness and from everything that all the shock that it went through. So I'm limiting how often I get my hair colored. So yes, the roots are bad, but please don't judge. And I can't tell you who my hairdresser is because she would not be happy with me. And then of course the hydrating stuff. My skin is like sandpaper. My face, my arms, my legs, everything on my body is it's just dry. I can't seem to get enough moisture. So I am making it a point to add extra water. I've always been a pretty good water drinker, but the holidays and this and that, and I started drinking some Coke here and there and different little things, but I'm trying to get back straight water. And I think today I've had 6 bottles so far, and I'll probably drink at least 1 or 2 more before bed tonight. And then the skincare. That I'm trying to hydrate from the inside and the outside. So that's where all these, the hydrating products and everything came from. And with that being said, I also am back on my weight loss journey, and I want to take you guys with me. One of the reasons that I've not yet been on camera is because just embarrassed. Didn't want anybody to see what I look like. There's people around me that love me, that, care about me for who I am, but the world is not going to care about me for who I am. The world is just going to make fun of a fat lady on camera. But it just occurred to me the other day that I'm probably not the only one that's ever had some of these struggles, so maybe I might be able to help someone. And I am going to lose weight, and I will take you with me, and I will let you see the journey. I have, like I said, I've already started back I have a Fitbit. I'm in a couple of the challenges with some of my friends from work, and that really helps keep me motivated. But I thought if I open myself up to the YouTube community and basically the world, that's going to hold me accountable, because if I promise you that I'm going to post a video of me losing weight, then I'm going to post a video of me losing weight. And if I fail, or let me not say fail, let me say if I stumble, I'll let you know when I stumble. But I promise you will see progress. So this is my, I guess, post New Year's resolution. I will be doing this, not because it's a new year, new me, but because it's a new year, old me. I'm coming back. I had a major setback last year, but it did not take me down. Or let me say, it took me down, but it didn't set me down. So anyway, thanks for hanging out with me a little bit tonight. If you haven't subscribed, I would love for you to. And please, hit the like button so YouTube knows you like me. And I will see you guys soon. Oh, by the way, I am still fully decorated for Christmas, so I might still do a home tour. We have 9 trees. Well, some of those have been taken down. My kids took theirs down. Actually, where I'm sitting right now is where my daughter's tree was in her room. So we might do something, I don't know, take down, home tour, maybe all in one. I don't know. We'll see. But again, thanks for hanging out, and please subscribe, and I'll see you the next time. Bye.